Lately, everyone has been weighing in on the net neutrality debate, and you might be wondering, what is net neutrality and why do I care? In his article, Net Neutrality is Over Unless You Want It, Danny Kimball refers to net neutrality as an update to common carriage, the centuries-old principle of openness and non-discrimination on publicly essential infrastructure for communication and transportation, aka the ideal that Internet service providers should provide equal access to all content providers, no preferences. And to answer your second question, because it's important. Recently, Obama released a statement which read, "I believe the FCC should create a new set of rules to protect net neutrality and ensure that neither the cable company nor the phone company will be able to act as a gatekeeper, restricting what you can do or see online." Which is cool, but not quite so easy. Michael Wolff sums up the argument pretty well in his article for USA Today when he says, "One side of the argument is that the limited number of major providers of broadband access will be able to control what content we receive, i.e., potentially interfere with free speech. On the other side, the argument is that regulation will add vast costs and inefficiencies to a system that, so far, has been remarkably innovative and productive. In other words, why fix what isn't broken?" So basically, the dilemma here is we want free and equal internet, but are we willing to deal with the possible consequences that come with it? I believe net neutrality is essential, and if government regulation is how we can keep the internet free and open for all, then it has to happen. To reach this goal, we need to speak up and tell the FCC that they need to classify broadband internet as a telecommunications service, which means it will be like a utility. With this reclassification, there will be no preferences by the providers towards the elite, and the internet will stay a level playing field. Without net neutrality, companies will have all the power. Internet sites will need to pay to play, which will give more power to elites because they have the money to stay ahead. What's meant by pay to play? In the Net Neutrality is Over article by Kimball, he described pay to play arrangements as exclusive fast lanes, unfair competition, and prepackaged access tiers where your own blog is left behind in favor of those who can pay protection money to network operators. Internet providers could slow down speeds of certain sites until those sites agree to pay more to get back to their regular speed. If this happens, then we'll be back to the not-so-good old days of broadcasting, where corporations were heard by the masses, and everyday people such as you and I are slowed down and shut down because we can't afford the price to be heard. If you prefer narrowcasting, where you get to hear what you're interested in, and also have your voice heard, then net neutrality is a must. Internet service providers argue that there will be no fast and slow lane, but only a fast and a faster lane. However, Internet service providers' claims can't be trusted. When Comcast was debating with Netflix, the speed of Netflix on Comcast plummeted by over 25%. In his New York Times article, Edward Wyatt described how this arrangement forced Netflix to pay millions of additional dollars to get higher speeds and more reliable service to their Comcast users. So basically, Netflix had to pay a lot more to give their customers the same service because Comcast decided it felt like it. We can't trust what the internet service providers are saying about speed. We need to make internet providers stick to their word, and to do this, government regulation is necessary. But what if government regulation ruins the internet? Some fear that by allowing government intervention online, the innovation and creativity behind the internet will disappear. However, government regulation is actually necessary for keeping the opportunity to innovate open for everyday people like you and I. Government regulation will make the internet service providers stick to their word. So, although it sounds scary, the government is on our side for this issue. The intervention is necessary for keeping the net neutral. Without net neutrality, only big corporations will have a chance to compete in the internet sphere. Where would be the motivation for the little guys to come up with the next new big idea like they did for Facebook or Twitter? New York Times author Wyatt talks about these possible consequences. If such deals become common, only the wealthiest content companies will be able to afford to pay for them, which could stifle the next Netflix from ever coming off the ground. Without net neutrality, there is no chance for the little guys to bring new ideas and innovations to the internet, which is exactly what has made the internet so great today. We need to keep the internet a level playing ground so that our new ideas have the exact same chance of success as any big corporation. If net neutrality disappears, the internet will no longer be a level playing field. Corporations will have all the power, and motivation for innovation from everyday people will disappear. Internet providers promise this won't happen, but we can't exactly trust that. That's why we need to keep net neutrality. We need to have broadband internet labeled as a telecommunications service so that the internet stays a level playing field for all. How can we do this? Email your local government representative, go to the FCC website and leave a message. There's a button on their site labeled Take Action, I checked. And tell your friends to do the same. We need to keep our voices heard to keep the net neutral.